Welcome to US Golf TV and VLS Golf. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb. I'm the Director of Instruction here for the company. And tonight we have got a great topic, especially for those of you out there who are maybe, let's say, on the back nine. You're over 40, you're over 50, and you find that you're losing some distance. This topic tonight is specifically for you. And we're gonna dial in really things that we can do in this setup. I've got 3 specific things that we can do in this setup that I have found in my 30 plus years of coaching golf that can immediately increase some club head speed, immediately give us some more distance, and maybe actually help us enjoy the game just a little bit more. So we got a jam-packed session here tonight. I got my main man, Nick, behind the camera. Nick, what's happening over there tonight? What do you got in store for some of our golfing friends out there tonight?
You know, we got a lot cooking tonight. We got a really good topic. We got a good poll that we went over. We've got, we're feeling a little generous, so I think we'll even give them something away too. So got a little bit of everything in store tonight. All
right. Well, hey, we're Nick and I are here to walk you through this tonight. You know our favorite thing. We love hearing where you're from. Put that in the chat right away. We got Nick monitoring the chat. We got Craig over here monitoring the board. We are fully locked and loaded tonight. We are ready to go. And if you've got any questions, start putting those in the chat right now. I'm going to always save some time at the end of our live sessions here to answer any of the questions. Tonight we're talking specifically about driver. But if you got a question about your putting or chipping or bunker play, you name it, it doesn't matter. We're gonna cover that. So before I get into this first thing, I got 3 things for you tonight here, my friends, that you can do in your setup tomorrow when you head to the golf course that can help you increase your club head speed. Nick, you did a poll earlier today. What was the question? What did we come up with?
Yeah, so in light of the topic tonight being driver, the company asked, what's the biggest reason you've lost distance over the years?
Okay.
Less flexibility, slower swing speed, poor inconsistent contact, or other. Poor or inconsistent contact took the slight win with about 1/3 of the votes. Slower swing speed slightly behind that, and then less flexibility with the 30%. So it was pretty evenly split across the board among the 3 of them.
All right, that's interesting because a lot of our experienced golfers out there, you know who you are. We're not old golfers, we're experienced golfers, right? With age comes a lot of wisdom, so we call ourselves experienced. We're going to address a lot of those things. One of them you mentioned, Nick, there was flexibility. If I don't remember to do that, please remind me of that. There are a couple things we can do in the stance and the toes to kind of help with that. And certainly injury. We're not medical doctors here. We don't give medical advice, but there are things that we can do in the setup that kind of help us maybe alleviate some of that pain, whether it be in your hip or your back or your knees or those types of stuff. So, all right, Nick, we got people from all over. I saw already. Got Australia's here tonight. We love our people from Australia. What else? Who else we got coming in?
Yeah, so we've got Georgia, we've got Indiana, we've got Arizona, Delaware, Southern California, Australia, like you mentioned, Oklahoma, Florida. So we got them coming in from everywhere tonight. I'm pretty excited about this. So if you guys have any questions throughout the night, I'm moderating them. Obviously, I just did a roll call who's here. So if you have questions, let us know. We'll be sure to save some time at the end for them.
All right, hey, let's get rolling. Here we go. 3 things that you can do in your setup that can help you increase your club head speed and give you a little bit more distance. So we're gonna do a lot of the content here tonight from face on. All right, so I got my main man Craig here monitoring the stuff behind the board. So the first thing we wanna talk about is weight shift. You know this, if you follow any of our stuff here at US Golf TV and VLS Golf, we love the 60-40. All right, we love the 60-40. I know a lot of you out there have heard this, but some of you are new to us. So let me go through, what is 60-40? 60-40 is the amount of weight that we have on each one of our feet in the initial setup position. So when we say 60-40, what we're talking about here is that we start with about 60% of the weight on our lead foot, about 40% on our trail foot. Now, it's not exactly 60, it might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less, but you get the idea. The idea is that you've got a little bit more weight on your lead foot than you do on your trail foot. Now, why is this important and how can this help you create more club head speed? Well, let's just break it down for a second. Think of other sports that we have played as a kid. Throwing a baseball, okay? All right, throwing a football. All right, anytime we throw a ball, we always kind of go lead, we go to our trail, and then we go back to our lead. We have that shifting of weight from one foot to the other foot. And it's that shifting of weight that allows us to create some club head speed. And we talk a lot about this in our book, The Bad Lie. We talk about the 3 power sources, or the 3 ways that you can create club head speed. And one of them is the simple movement of lateral weight shift from one foot to the other foot and then back to the lead foot. And when you look at some of the all-time greats, go look at Jack Nicklaus' golf swing with the driver. Go look at Tom Watson, okay, Johnny Miller, some of these all-time greats. What you'll see is that when they get to the top of their backswing, their lead foot, their lead heel is a little bit off the ground. Now, we don't see that as much today as we did in the golden days, I'll call that, right? All right, a lot of the guys now keep their foot on the ground, but that shifting of weight from one foot to the other foot can definitely help you do that. So the first tip is the 60-40. So when you're set in there, I want you to make sure that you've got a little bit more weight on your lead foot. 60% here, 40% on the trail. Now also when you do this, I want you to make sure, and we can kind of watch this from face on. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab an alignment rod here. I want you to watch this. All right, when I go 60-40, here's the other thing, and this gets a little deeper, but when we're in here and I bump into that lead foot, notice how it sets my lead hip more over my lead foot. Now this is vital, okay, because when we start to shift from lead and then we go to the trail, the hips actually bump ever so slightly. All right, and it's that bumping of hip, boom, or the shifting of weight that allows us to create that club head speed. Now, the other thing it does for us is it helps create a little bit momentum, helps some rhythm and some tempo. Now, I see a lot of my students, okay, who set with a lot of their weight in their trail foot. Now, I'm exaggerating this, but you get the idea. If you start with all of your weight back here and you just swing it up, that would be like throwing a football or a baseball, okay, just starting here and then just going forward. If you've watched any of baseball lately, like College World Series has been going on for a long time, wrapped up last night, but you see those pitchers and they really wind up. So, in a nutshell, 60-40 is the first tip that I got for you. Always start with a little bit more weight on your lead foot, and then we can talk about how to shift that weight a little bit. So let me pause there for a second before I talk about the second thing. Nick, what do you think? Did you like that? Was that good enough for you?
It had to have been good because I got some good questions coming in for you. So I think that was right where we needed it to be.
Okay, hey, I'm gonna make Nick earn his paycheck tonight. I'm gonna make sure before the night's done, he gives you something. Okay, he's gonna give you something. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm gonna push him a little bit on it, but let me just pause there. Let's answer a question. And then we're gonna get into the second thing that has to do with ball position. And then we're gonna talk also tonight about upper body. We talked a little bit about lower body. 60-40 is lower body. We're gonna also talk about upper body here before the evening's done. But Nick, let's answer a question first.
Yeah, you bet. So we got, I got one from Mike in New York. I want to let him know that I'm going to save that one for later, so don't think I'm just skipping over you here. This one comes from Jim in Delaware. I start with 60-40, but I have a tendency to end up swinging on the back foot.
Okay.
Any suggestions to correct that?
All right, who is this from again?
Jim in Delaware.
All right, Jim in Delaware. Okay, Delaware, beautiful state. Haven't spent much time there. But I bet you got some beautiful golf courses there. So this is a great question, Jim. Thank you for asking that. So basically what we're saying is that, hey, he starts 60-40, and maybe we get to the back foot a little bit, but then we kind of stay there. So let me give you a drill for that, and then also let me tell you why it's important that we learn to go through, all right? So when I start here, 60-40, when we start the backswing, okay, early in the backswing, you're gonna get a lot of that weight into that trail foot, my friends. Okay, so at this moment in time where my lead arm, my left arm is pretty close to parallel to the ground, depending upon your particular swing, you've probably got 70, 80, 85% of your weight on your right foot or your trail foot early in the backswing. Okay, now here's a question I know some of you are going to ask about it. Maybe we'll save it for later. Say, well, isn't that a sway? Isn't that swaying off the golf ball? I heard that's bad. We can talk about that later. It's not a sway. I'm going to tell you why it's not. But here's what you got to do. When we're here and we're locked and loaded, we've got to get that weight going forward. So here's a simple drill that you can do. Go ahead and take your regular setup and just take your lead foot and bring it back to your trail foot. Go ahead and pause there for a second and kind of reposition the club. So I started in a normal. I took the lead foot and brought it back, reposition the club, swing it up, and then just step forward. That's one simple way that you can train the body to be going towards a target. Okay, the other one that you could do, and this was made famous by one of the all-time great golfers, Okay, last name started with a P. If you know it, put it in the chat. But he did this in his actual normal swing. Let me see if I can go ahead and do it. I'm going to see if I can hit a shot here. Craig, you might have to edit this part out. I don't know. Let me just go with me. So what he did in his swing to help get that sensation of going forward was this. He'd make a backswing, and then as he hit the golf ball, he'd step forward. So it kind of looked like this. All right, now there's a very famous golfer. He'd probably be on Mount Rushmore of all-time golfers. He did that on his normal swing. So those are the couple ways that you can kind of do to help you get moving forward. Nick, let's get to one more question before we start talking about ball position. What else you got there that we can maybe help some golfers understand tonight?
Yeah, you bet. So this one comes from, make sure I was looking to see where, so John in Australia, actually. John's from Sydney. He says, if you grip down a little on the driver, does that help?
All right, great question. So where we place our hands, let's look at this one kind of from down the line, Craig. We're gonna go kind of down the line on this one. Where we position our hands on the golf club, okay, yes, can have a big impact on a lot of things. All things being equal, okay, the longer the club is, assuming we hit the ball in the center of the face, all right, the longer drive you're gonna hit. All right, so if I swing a club and the shaft is very short, and then I swing a club that has a driver length shaft, same swing, okay, I'm gonna get more club head speed with the longer shaft. Now here's the big thing, remember what I said earlier, assuming you hit the ball in the center of the face. That's the most important part. I would much rather have my students, back to your question here, choke down on it just a little bit, hit the ball in the center of the face, because two things are going to happen. Number one is the ball is probably going to go longer because they're hitting the ball in the center of the face. And number two is they're going to definitely be more accurate. Okay? They're going to definitely be more accurate. And that's the other part of understanding distance. There's distance, but it's got to be playable. No good to hit it 320 yards into the middle of the trees or into the water hazard. You'd much rather be 225, 230 down the middle of the fairway. So, all right, let's get into the second thing I want to talk about here, and that is ball position. Where do we position the golf ball when we're hitting a driver? It can have a big impact on how far the ball goes. So we're going to do this one again from face-on view here from the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and grab our alignment rod. And what I'm going to do is just take this alignment rod. Alignment rods are great training tools. Okay, they're the simplest training tool we got, and we can use them for so many things. All right, so what I'm going to do is just position this alignment rod straight back from the golf ball. Now, let's go through this a little bit, all right? We're going to get a little deep, so, just kind of bear with me here, but it's important that you understand why I'm going to make the suggestion that I'm going to make in terms of ball position. The driver is the only club that every time you hit it, okay, the ball's on a tee. You don't hit, when you hit a 6-iron, most of the time the ball's on the ground. When you hit a fairway wood, most of the time the ball's on the ground. But when you hit a driver, there are a few people out there who can maybe hit the driver off the ground, but not very often, all right? But 99.9% of the time when you hit this club, the ball's in the air. Okay, and all things being equal, assuming we hit the ball in the center of the face, all right, if we hit slightly up on the golf ball, all right, the ball is going to have less spin and it's going to have more launch, generally speaking. Okay, let me say that again. So if I make a golf swing and one golfer hits slightly up on the golf ball and one golfer hits slightly down on the golf ball with their driver, the person who hits slightly up on the ball, for the most part, is going to get a ball that travels longer. Okay, so now that we know that hitting up, all things being equal, is better than hitting down with the driver, let's talk about how we do that. So here's a golden nugget. Now every once in a while I give you these golden nuggets, okay? And Craig does this really cool thing in the editing where he puts this little coin that pops up. Okay, it reminds me of Mario Brothers for some reason. I'm showing my age here, but I think in Mario Brothers there was something like that. Well, Nick, was that in Mario's Brother? Did you ever?
It was. You bet it was.
Okay, you might have been too young for that. I didn't know, but you got it. Okay, so here's a golden nugget. The bottom of your swing, or where the club hits the ground or touches the ground, is basically equal to the buttons on your golf shirt. Let me say that again. The bottom of the swing, or where the club hits the ground, is basically equal to the buttons on your golf shirt. If you know that one thing, if you know that golden nugget, now we got a chance to get the ball in the right position. So if this is the bottom of my swing and I want to hit up on it, obviously I gotta have the ball more forward in my stance. So where should it be? I want that ball positioned so it's ever so slightly off the inside of your lead arm. See how I'm doing that? So I've got this alignment rod pointing back. Notice how it's just barely off the inside of my lead heel. And also now the ball is positioned straight out from the inside of my lead arm. That is the ideal position to give yourself the opportunity to hit slightly up on the golf ball. Now here's the last point, and this is why you come to US Golf TV, I hope, and this is why you follow us at VLS Golf, is that, okay, that's a concept, I understand why I should do it, but ultimately you're here to understand, how do I do that? That's why you're here. Here's how you do it. What you're gonna do is just put your feet together like I have done here, position the club head behind the golf ball. Now you're gonna take a mini step towards the target with your lead foot. I'm talking like 1 inch. And then I'm gonna take a much larger step away from the target. Whatever step I need to take, whatever width that step needs to be to make sure that I have a good base, that's the length of step that you're going to take. And when you do that, then the ball is going to be where you have it in the right position. Let me go ahead and do that one more time. So here we go, feet together. All right, mini step towards, much larger step away. Now I've got the ball forward in my stance. Let me go ahead and swing it. Okay, I turned that one over a little bit. Oh, more than a little bit. Okay, next video might have to be on how to stop hooking our driver, Nick. I don't know. I got the hooks going right now, but I did hit up on it. Went pretty good. All right, questions. Let me pause there. I got the third tip I want to get to that has to do with the upper body. And I also want to maybe talk a little bit about, I'm going to talk about upper body, but let's get into a couple questions here. What do you got?
Yeah, so I got 2 things. One, first thing, you're right. We do need to give something away tonight. So I'm going to be putting in the chat from our original book, The Bad Lie, which is available on Amazon, is our free lost chapter. Got a lot of great stuff on the counter backswing sequence about getting more club head speed, getting more speed in your driver. But more importantly, I'm going to give one of these away to somebody tonight. Oh. So whoever goes and fills it out, the form, and gets the lost chapter, I'm going to randomly select somebody. And I'm going to put Todd on the spot here. He's going to sign that copy, and we're going to send it out in the mail to you tomorrow.
Dude,
so
I think you're feeling generous tonight. What got into you? Well, we bought him dinner tonight. That's what's going on there, my friends. We bought him dinner tonight. We bought him a nice sandwich, so he's feeling in a good mood. Nick, that's a great idea. Thank you for that. Because in the lost chapter, okay, which is an additional chapter that we wrote after the book that Nick just referenced there, we do have a lot of information in there about club head speed that we haven't done videos on. It does have some really good information. Nick, I love that idea.
Yeah, I was due a good idea, so now I'm good for the rest of the week here. So, okay, so we got actually a lot of good questions, and I'm gonna try and figure out the best way to get through these. So I'm gonna save that one for after tip 3. We're gonna do, here we go. Every time I swing, this is from Roger, every time I swing my driver, I end up pulling it left because my hip seems to get around faster than my club does. What do I need to do? Okay, Roger, thank you for this question. Wow, because you just saw me hook a couple. So maybe you and I got the same thing going with this darn hip deal. Maybe that's my excuse. Well, let's talk about that. So here's what we know. If we tend to be overhooking the golf ball a little bit, right? We know that the club face is maybe a little bit closed, or maybe we're swinging the club a little bit too inside to out. So here's a couple of great things that you can do. Specifically with the hip, what I want you to do is in your setup, I want you to take your lead foot and just flare it out a little bit. See, I've taken my lead toe and I just flared it a little bit this way. Basically, when you take that lead foot and you flare the toe a little bit, that's going to make it easier for you to keep rotating around. Okay, one of the big reasons as we tend to get a little bit age or become more experienced is we do lose some flexibility. It's just life, man. It's life. But that doesn't mean that we can't still hit great golf shots. We just have to modify a few things to work with the wonderful body that we're given at this moment in time, in this moment of our life. And one of the things is that the hip gets a little tight. No big deal. We can navigate that. And you can navigate that by just taking the toe and flaring it. Because when we keep rotating, the more that the body rotates, okay, the more the club face, generally speaking, will stay more square. What I have found in my coaching
over 30 plus years of coaching, is that when the body stalls, when the body stops rotating, but the arms keep going, the club face shuts down and closes. So that's what I would do. Now here's the other one. I don't normally give this one, I'm gonna give it to you because I think it's a good one. The other thing that you can do, if you're just hooking them, my friends, on the golf course and you just cannot stop hooking them and you don't have time to work on your swing, do this simple thing. This is another golden nugget. The last 3 fingers of your lead hand. So my lead hand is my glove hand, that's my left hand. My pinky, my ring finger, and my middle finger. These 3 fingers right there, I'm going to grip the club really firm and really tight with those 3 specific fingers. And when I do that, and when you do that, what's gonna happen here is your lead forearm is gonna tighten up a little bit, which is gonna keep the club face from rotating closed. Okay, that's a great way to keep that club face a little bit more square and eventually get rid of that hook. So I don't know, Nick, let's answer one more question before we talk about this upper body and what we can do with the upper body to help get some real distance.
Yeah, so this one's very similar in topics, comes from Steve. Do the hips start turning before the downswing starts?
All right, so the question here is do the hips start turning, okay, before the downswing starts? Now the short answer to that is yes. If we were to put you in a 3D analysis and we were to look at the great golf swings of the game, I'm gonna do this one from face on, Craig here. What we would see is that absolutely, as the arms are completing their backswing, the lower body is starting to unwind. Now, that's not something that I have found that people consciously do. That happens as a byproduct of a good backswing, of having the club in a good position, having the weight shift correct. It's really a byproduct. I haven't seen anybody who has a really bad backswing and then can just somehow change it in that transition. So the short answer to your question is yes, absolutely. Absolutely, the hips start going. Now, in our, I'm not going to go into it right now because we got to get moving on the next thing, but I will tell you this. In the lost chapter, which Nick referenced earlier, we have a couple drills, the counter backswing sequence. We have that drill in there that helps you actually do exactly that. So if you feel like, my friends out there, when you start your downswing that your hips don't start the downswing and you come over the top, the counter backswing sequence stuff that we cover in there can definitely dial you in, and that's where I'm gonna go ahead and send you. So, all right, now let's get into number 3. Now number 3 has to do with the upper body, okay? Now remember our conversation around we wanna be able to actually hit slightly up on the golf ball. So let me go ahead and tee up another golf ball here, and let's talk about what we can do in the upper body. We talked a lot about lower body. Remember? We talked about the 60-40, right? We talked about the 60-40 and the weight shift. We talked about how the bottom of the swing equals the buttons on your golf shirt, okay? So in the upper body, what I want you to feel and what I want you to do is I want your upper body to be slightly tilted back and away from the target. See how I did that? So I set in here, this is neutral. I'm hitting a 7-iron. But when I go hit to the driver, I'm going like that. See how I took my upper body and I tilted just a little bit. Now what happens is that when you tilt your upper body a little bit away from the target, it moves the buttons back a little bit, which helps you hit up on the golf ball. Now here's the key. I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to show you a little golden nugget on what you also want to do with your upper body to help you hit a draw and why that's important. So to get the upper body tilt, this is pretty simple. Go ahead and take your regular stance. Kind of take the club, put it kind of basically, you can see how I'm doing it here, down the middle of my body, and just tilt a little bit until the club hits you in the lead leg. Now I know that my upper body is tilted slightly away from the target. That's the perfect amount of tilt that we want to help us hit up on the golf ball. Now, here's the other part of it, and I want you to look at this from down the line. So Craig's gonna kind of show it from what we call the down the line view. When we get into that tilt, okay, I also want you to make sure that your feet, your hips, and your shoulders are slightly close to the target line. So let me go ahead and grab my alignment rod here again. And why this is important, my friends, is because all things being equal, which is one of the things we use a lot, we use that phrase a lot because there's always some exceptions to the rules here. There's always some exceptions in the game of golf. But if we can turn the ball over a little bit, if you can hit a baby draw, we call it the tour draw. If you can hit the tour draw, when the ball lands, you're going to get more roll, which means more distance. Okay, so that's why I like all of my experienced golfers to hit a little bit of a draw if possible. So one of the ways that we do that is in the upper body and in the feet and in the hips and in the shoulders. So we got the stance, we talked about that, boom, boom. And now my lead foot is going to be ever so slightly forward. My trail foot is slightly back. Notice how my feet are slightly to the right of where this line is pointed. Also my lead hip, boom, my 60-40, and my lead shoulder also is slightly closer to the target. So I'm set up in a slightly closed position with my feet, my hips, and my shoulders. And here's the key. Here's the key. Make sure the club face, though, stays looking at the target. Okay, so feet, hips, shoulders, slightly closed. Club face square to the target. Boom, little upper body tilt away from it. And now we have set up, we've got the ball in the right spot. We've got the weight shift with the 60-40. We got the upper body. We're dialed in to get some more club head speed. So I don't know, Nick, what do you think?
I think that I've got 3 more questions for you if you're willing to take them. I think that's going to be good. So before we do though, reminder, we are doing a giveaway tonight. All you got to do, really simple, just go to vlsgolf.com/pages book offer. I've got the link in the chat right now. You just got to download the last chapter of The Bad Lie, and somebody who does tonight will randomly be selected for a signed copy of The Bad Lie.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do is we get a lot of requests for books here. People are in our coaching programs. They want to work with us. And so we do sign a lot of books. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do, and hearing the stories about hopefully how the information that we're putting out here on an every day on all of our platforms, hopefully it's just helping you play better golf and helping you enjoy this great game. So Nick, let's get into a couple more questions. Let's give these guys and gals some golden nuggets. What else we got tonight?
You bet. So let's see. The first one, Mike from New York, told you I wasn't going to forget about you. Coming over the top with fairway woods and driver. Any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, I love this. I love this line. Okay, I love this. Coming from New York, just had the big U.S. Open out there. Man, oh man, that course looked really difficult and hard. I don't know, Nick, if you guys watched any of it. Did you watch any of the U.S. Open?
Yeah, I would agree. The course did look difficult. I know that much.
Yeah,
so.
Nick was working on his yard all weekend, working on his fence. All right, let's look at this one right here, Craig. Down the line, this is a great question from our friends in New York. Coming over the top. Okay, for those of you who don't know, coming over the top is this move right here when the arms and hands swing out and across and over to the left for a right-handed golfer. So kind of out and across or over the top. What we want ideally is we want that club dropping to the inside. Okay, we want it dropping to the inside. Now, in order to get that club dropping to the inside, okay, this is going to go back to our 60-40. The key is in the weight shift. All right, when we start here, Craig, let's go face on this one if you would, my friend. We're going to go face on right here, okay? When we're set in there, all right, here we go. I got my 60-40. So I get that weight to my trail foot. Now, the key here is in the downswing. In the first move down, you've got to bump the hip. You've got to reset. So I'm here, I'm 60, I'm 40, I'm at the top, and now I'm maybe 80, and then early in the downswing, I've got to move to my lead foot, and it's that movement to my lead foot that helps that club drop down. So that's where I would start. Now, you can go do this drill right here. You can do this drill where you just take your setup, take your lead foot back, swing it up, and just step forward. That's a great drill to help you feel the weight going forward, and as the weight goes forward, the hands will drop to the inside. Okay, that's a really nice one. The other thing that you can do, we talked about this, Jack Nicklaus did this. Okay, now I don't know what he was specifically working on, but when you get to the top, if your lead heel is a little off the ground, your first move in the downswing should be to replant that. That might be your trigger, so it's off the ground, and then when you plant it, that'll reshift your weight towards lead foot, can help that club drop to the inside. So, all right. Let's get into another one. What else we got? What?
You know, I just realized we never did answer. Who was that golfer that you were emulating in the swing?
Oh, did we get anybody to answer that?
We got answers, but
okay.
they're both...
Okay, great. Okay, good. So who I was thinking of was Gary Player.
That's who I thought it was too, but I was like, oh, Palmer is a P2. So yes, Gary Player. We got Greg and I think somebody else has said...
A couple people who...
Yep.
Yeah,
so
Gary
we did
Player,
get an answer out of it.
If anybody knows where he's from or where he's originally from, put that in the chat there too, because I remember as a little kid, and this guy, I mean, I don't know how old Gary Player is now, but he's getting up there and he's still fit, this guy. He can swing the golf club. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could probably outdrive me still. I saw him doing sit-ups last year in some video. I'm like, man, he's crushing it still. Anyway, so enough of that. Akira from Japan asks, speaking of Jack just a little bit ago, do you recommend Jack Nicklaus's head turn for the golf swing from driver to short irons?
Okay, this question is coming from our friends in Japan.
Yep, Akira in Japan.
Well, thank you for this question. First of all, I would love to go to Japan sometime. I hear just wonderful things about that country. I would love to go there and play golf sometime. I had some family actually that was just there about a month ago, and they couldn't stop talking about it. So I don't know, maybe hook Nick up and get us over to Japan if you wouldn't mind. So back to your question, yeah, let's talk about this from the face-on view or split screen view, Craig. Either one works really well. So what we're going to do here, yeah, the head tilt, 100%. When Jack Nicklaus was set in there, yes, he had a little bit of tilt with his head. So he was kind of set here, and he would tilt it a little bit that way. I love that. I think that's a great feel for you. You know, here's what I want you to take away from this part of the conversation, all right? And this can apply to all clubs, but when you take your head and you tilt it this way, see how my lead eye, which is my left eye, went down, my trail eye went up. What that'll do for you is that will make your pivot more centered, so you'll stay more centered over the golf ball like this, okay? If you take your head and you tilt it the other way, where your trail eye, which for me is my right eye, goes down, my lead eye goes up, that will set you up to swing a little bit more up on the golf ball, all right? So depending upon what type of club you got, if you're hitting an iron or a driver, or you feel like you're hitting 2 up or 2 down, you can literally have a lot of success in changing how the club hits the ground by just changing your eyes. This will help you stay more centered and hit more down on it. This will help you hit a little bit more up on it. Great question from our friends in Japan. We appreciate that. Nick, let's get into one more here. I'd love to answer one more question before we talk about these driver setup things and do a little recap.
Yeah, so speaking of setup, this one comes from, where did it go? Lynn, does flaring the lead foot work with irons as well?
Yeah, so the question about flaring of the toes, absolutely. Let's do this one from face on, Craig, or split screen. Both of those work really well. So when we're set in here, yes, in the vertical line swing system, okay, we advocate for the toes being flared a little bit, all right? Because when the toes, okay, this would be squared, no toe flare. This would be more toe flare, where they're really kind of flared out, right? Okay, I like a little bit of toe flare. And the reason I like that is because, number one is I think it helps with balance. Okay, I can tell you this, my balance isn't as good as it used to be when I was younger, right? And when my toes are flared a little bit, I just feel more connected to the ground. The second thing that it does is it allows us to pivot and turn a little bit. So when those toes are flared out a little bit, it's easier to rotate on the backswing, and it's also easier to rotate on the forward swing. So you can definitely use this on any one of the irons or any one of the clubs that you go ahead and hit. So Nick, let's go ahead and throw in, you mentioned, let's talk one more time for those people who just got here, where they can go if they maybe get a free book, free lost chapter. Let's go through that real quick again.
Yep, so we are, if you're just joining us, once again, we are doing a giveaway tonight. All you gotta do, pretty simple, go to, I'll put the link in the description of the chat again. It's just our lost chapter from The Bad Lie. All you gotta do is download that, and you'll be entered to win a potential signed copy from Todd himself of The Bad Lie.
I love it, I love it. So tonight, we've talked a lot about distance, okay? And I want you to know that I don't care where you're at. One of the enjoyments of the game is hitting a nice long drive. And we might not hit a drive in our 50s, 60s, and 70s like we do in our 20s, but it does not mean that we can't hit some drives well over 200, 250, 280, you name it. We've got a lot of our students who are doing that. So there are 3 things that we can do in our setup to really kind of help us with that. One is what we call the 60-40. When you start your swing, get a little bit more weight on your lead foot so that you can shift the weight from your lead foot to your trail foot, back to your lead foot. That shifting of weight can really help you create some momentum, some cadence, some rhythm, and some club head speed. And then the next thing is you gotta get the ball in the right spot. We wanna hit up on the golf ball when we're hitting a driver. The bottom of our swinger where we hit the ground is gonna be pretty much equal to the buttons on our golf shirt. So get that ball forward, up in your stance. I showed you exactly how to do that. And then the upper body Make sure that your upper body's tilted a little bit away from the target. Remember how we just kind of take the club here and we tilt it a little bit away like this? And make sure that the stance, the feet, the hips, and the shoulders are ever so slightly close so you can hit a nice little high draw. And if we do those things in our setup, you can do those tomorrow. They don't require any practice. They're stationary changes. If you do that, you're gonna definitely see some increase in your club head speed, and you're gonna hit the golf ball a lot longer. So we're gonna be going live again next week, right, Nick? We're going next week, Tuesday.
Thank you very much. I was just about to say that as well. So next week, Tuesday, same time, we're going to do 5:30 Central, 5:30 Central next Tuesday. We do have topic in mind. However, if you have a recommendation for a future video, send me a note, nick@usgolftv.com, and we will be sure to put that into the rotation as well, possibly.
I love it. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you play better golf, understand this game. It's a wonderful game. Keep it simple and help you play great golf well into your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you name it. And remember this, my friends, that you do not have to swing like a tour pro in order to play great golf.